If you didn't know before heading into this review, I am a huge fan of Makoto Shinkai, of his directing and writing style. I've seen quite a few of his projects. There is a couple I haven't seen as of yet, but just to kind of give you an example, I own The Garden of Words. I also own a double pack, Your Name 4K Collector's Edition, and Weather and Review 4K Collector's Edition. However, how does Suzume size up to these ones? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel and thank you so much for taking your own time out to check out this spoiler-free review on the brand new movie Suzume. Once again produced by CoMix Wave Films and once again directed and written by Makoto Shinkai. Now the music also in here is by the band Radwimps, who has teamed up with Makoto previously to do the soundtracks for Your Name and Weather and Review, along with composer Kazumi Jinochi, if I've got that correctly, and I do apologise in advance if I mispronounce any of these names. Now, the voice cast we've got here, Nanoka Hara, who voices Suzume, Sota, who is done by Hokuto Matsumura, Daijin, who is voiced by Ann Yamain. And the plot of Suzume, without going into spoilers, which I'm going to try my best to avoid every single one of them, essentially follows around a 17-year-old girl, Suzume, who comes across a guy called Sota and actually finds out that Sota is trying to close doors around Japan that is causing disasters. And that's all I'm going to say, and I try to summarize this plot without going into any of that, but it's kind of hard not to, really. So going into this movie, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I was absolutely hyped. Like the titles I showed you at the beginning of this video, I love a lot of Makoto Shinkai's work. I really, really do. I think CoMix Wave Films is some of the most beautiful and best anime films I've personally ever seen. So going into this movie, Suzume, I was really excited to see what Makoto was going to bring next. And what I can ultimately say, firstly, to go into some positives, is this movie is once again an absolute beautifully made movie. The animation is absolutely stunning once again. Makoto Shinkai's writing here is present as always, but it also feels a little bit, in a way, more mature than what we've seen in the likes of, say, Your Name and Weather and Review, his most two recent kind of projects. Yeah, you can definitely tell that there's kind of more of a serious tone, which is not a bad thing whatsoever, guys, by the way. I'm not saying it is, but you can definitely tell that there's a little bit more difference in the writing, definitely follows shades of, say, the previous two movies I mentioned, like Your Name and Weather and Review. There's definitely elements here that, if you've seen those two movies, you're going to be like, oh, wow, okay. Well, I noticed like some like kind of similarities in the animation here, or like kind of some certain colours that's been present in those two outings that are present here. Yes, that is definitely here for sure. But it feels slightly different, especially in some certain tones and certain scenes that we get, that I really kind of appreciate, because it just goes to show that with big names and big blockbusters that he's had, Makoto, he continues to bring stories to the big screen that are relevant, that are kind of relatable also, and ones that will just leave you in awe and thinking, wow, what a beautifully written and presented movie. Suzume is absolutely no different here. I really love the animation. I also will say that the music by Radwimps once again is utterly beautiful, guys. Honestly, when I left this showing, I was just kind of humming the tune of Suzume over and over and over again, and I know immediately it is going to be one that's going to be stuck in my mind for quite some time. And what I will say about Radwimps and the composer of Kazuma Jinochi is, once again, they hit it out of the park. They know how to bring the music and really just bring that out of the colourful scene that we're getting, or even if it's the darker tone scenes that we are presented with, that music once again is just ever present and only elevates what you're seeing on screen. And I felt that throughout this movie once again. And honestly, Radwimps, you are absolute legends. Please continue to collab with Makoto Shinkai on his movies, because every time they do, they always have a very amazing soundtrack. Of course, you will have some big kind of odd songs throughout each movie that are maybe more popular than others, but even so, every single one of their songs is beautifully done. Just ones that really kind of just get you in a really nice mood, a good mood, like nice chill out kind of vibe, but also just beautifully added music added to yet the beautifully stunning animation that is on show. The story that certainly centers on focal points like, say, like family, finding yourself, for example, and many other tones that it hits on. Those messages are relatable, and once again, that is relatable in Suzume. I found that there were several messages here that I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I could relate with this one, maybe more than this, or maybe a couple of messages here, yeah, they're kind of like on like same par, so to say. Definitely all around here, the characters once again are so likable. Makoto has such a way of writing these characters where you can feel for them, you like them, you get really engrossed in their journeys as the movie goes on and how it's going to play out in this story that at times, don't get me wrong, every one of the kind of movies that Makoto has made so far that I've seen kind of start out maybe kind of first 10-15 minutes where you're kind of like wondering, okay, well, what's going on, like where's this actually going to go lead to? Then when it actually like kind of fully kicks in and you're starting to get the message of what that first kind of 10-15 minutes meant, then absolutely, once again, he sails you on board this ship that is going to take you to a beautiful oasis and ultimately leave you with a smile on your face. And this is exactly no different here. What I will say, in terms of the voice cast that I touched on before, my biggest standout and highlight for me personally was the voice actress of Dajin by An Yamin, if I've got that right. Yeah, that cat stole my heart. I'm not going to lie, guys. Really, really did. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a really good time with this movie. The hype that I had, I'm glad to say that I didn't leave this movie disappointed whatsoever. The only nitpick that I've got with this movie that kind of stops this from being a 5-star movie for me personally. Now, I do have to just give a little bit of clarity here without spoilers. For me personally, my favourite Makoto movie that I've ever seen is Your Name. I've talked about this movie so many times on my channel respectively. If you haven't, go back and watch like pretty much every live stream I've done. I always speak about this movie, and one day I will review this movie. But for me, Your Name had, I don't know how to describe it, but it had such an emotional presence and an emotional kind of feel to it completely that every time I watch this one, it makes me cry. Without a doubt, it makes me shed a tear or two, or even more. When I checked out Weather and Review, I leave that movie watching and thinking, wow, this is such a beautiful movie, and certainly have a little bit of an emotional beats, but not as much as Your Name. And I'm going to be honest, Suzume was kind of like that for me, in terms of not so emotionally invested. There is certainly a scene towards the end where I kind of nearly was. I'm not going to say that I wasn't, but it didn't quite hit that emotional factor that Your Name did. It's kind of tough to have that comparison. There's just something so magical about Your Name that really gave me that feeling, and to me is my personal favourite anime movie of all time. So not to say that these movies are going to hit that bar or excel them, because I'm sure they certainly can at some point, but it's just something was missing with the emotional beat with this one that I didn't quite get the same feeling as I did with Your Name, that I feel has been missing in Weather and Review and Suzume. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, just my kind of personal preference, so to say. So with all that in mind about Suzume, can I recommend it to you guys? Well, personally, I will, yeah. If you really like anime, 100%, I would say maybe go check out this movie. If you haven't seen any anime, or maybe you've seen like one or two things and you're not really too sure, I would maybe start with his other kind of works, like, like Your Name, Weather and Review and stuff. And if you like these movies, definitely check out Suzume. But either way, my overall score for this movie is a 4 out of 5 stars. So for me personally, I will put this one on the same kind of level as Weather and Review. Both similar-ish movies to an extent, but of course got different messages in them and different kind of plots to them in general. But yeah, I like one of them more for one reason and like the other one more for another reason. So it's kind of tough to say. But I hope that you've enjoyed this review. If you've seen Suzume, leave any and all comments down below so we can continue the discussion down there, as I would love to talk about this movie more with you guys. If you are going to give spoilers, please just write on spoiler in the comment for anyone who hasn't seen this movie as of yet, as they may want to avoid that, and I definitely didn't want to dive that in this review. But if you've enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button down below so I can see you again on a future video. I've also launched merch, so you can actually get a hold of some Did You See That official merch by clicking the link down below in the description box. But over on my Patreon, memberships start from £2 per month. You can also request for me to watch movies and review them here onto the channel. Plus, it includes so many more perks. So definitely click that link down below, guys, in the description box to join Patreon today. And I also want to give a big thank you to all my awesome supporters over on Patreon who help really support my channel. And they also have YouTube channels as well. So their names will be down below in the description box. Please go subscribe to them and go show them some love. And until the next time that I see you guys, I'll be seeing you later.